people keep asking me on Twitter, so I figured I'd talk about it, and I thought of a good angle so it wasn't just bland. People are asking about the Kanye Joe Rogan podcast that's coming up soon. And the first thing I wanted to say was I'm so excited because this is probably, or definitely, going to be the fairest and longest Kanye West interview yet. You have to understand, Kanye's dropped a lot of gems already. He's said black people don't have to be Democrats, free your mind. Like Kanye is breaking the paradigm, whether you love him or hate him. He said so many revolutionary things that nobody at his level has even come close to, and he's at a very high reach level, like Kardashian-wise, fashion-wise, rap-wise. He's one of the top. He's never really gotten a fair interview. If you really think about it, he talked to TMZ, and I think about it as like, I call people low-energy crabs and low-energy leeches because they're just like energy vampires. They just suck your energy out, and they're just bad vibes. They're not trying to treat you like a person. Even when I talk to people that I disagree with, I don't treat people like that. You know what I'm saying? I try to take the best out of them and counter the ideas that I don't agree with. But you see me talk to progressives or people I don't agree with, I don't treat them like, that's not how you treat people. That's not how you get a good interview if you're not like a biased shill. And Joe Rogan, he never does that. I mean, sometimes I don't agree with Joe. A lot of times I do. I'm very grateful for Joe because he has a huge reach and he brings on guests that will say the truth, and he'll have like interesting dialogue from all sides. Joe's great. But Kanye's never gotten a fair interview because there's almost nowhere to get a fair interview. If you go on CNN or MSNBC like Kanye's been going on, or you go to TMZ or all these people, they don't treat you like a smart person. They're like, so what? Jimmy Kimmel, he was on. What do you think? They cut him off on SNL. What do you think about this racist, sexist? Like, Joe's not going to do that. They frame it. They start Kanye, and it's like Kanye has a lot to say. He has a lot of good stuff inside, and they don't let it out. They just say like, and then Kanye has to like defend himself and shift the whole paradigm of the conversation before he can even start the conversation. Joe's not going to do that. Joe's going to just let it flow. If you watch the Elon Musk Joe Rogan interview, it's one of the best. Elon Musk. It's the best Elon Musk interview ever. It's so much better than other ones. It's not even comparable. You watch the Alex Jones Joe Rogan thing. I mean, Alex Jones is always on a level, but like, it's one of the funniest, greatest things ever. Like Joe Rogan and Alex Jones, it's a good vibe. Kanye, Joe Rogan, people keep asking me about it. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be one of the best. It's because he's going to let Kanye just go. He's going to hold Kanye accountable on certain things, but Joe, even at his worst, because I know I personally like Joe Rogan. I like his comedy. I've seen him live. He's hilarious. He said hi to me. I like his podcast. I don't always agree with Joe on every policy because he's not that political, but he'll weigh on certain things. But I do think his platform is like really great, and there's no one even close to what he's doing. So my goal eventually is to get to somewhere like that and be that type of person who can talk to people and bring out the best in them, as opposed to try to frame them in a bad light. Like, he's always taking good energy out mostly, and I think he'll do that with Kanye. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to reach so many people, because I know a lot of people that follow me, and even people that I watch and really like, they really go at Joe sometimes. I mean, even Alex Jones goes at Joe sometimes. Anyway, it's like, I get why people might not like everything that Joe does, but like, Joe's podcast reaches like hundreds of millions of people. Kanye West reaches hundreds of millions of people. You're talking about like a billion reach podcast. It's going to absolutely explode. Like, it's going to get tens of, if not hundreds of millions of views, and then it's going to get tens, if not hundreds of millions of downloads on the podcast network. Like, it's going to change the world. It really will. Like, ideas and thoughts and energy moves quickly, and Kanye has a lot of good energy, a lot of good soul, and I think this is going to be the first time that he's actually got somewhat of a fair shake by any media figures, because they do a good job of never letting people be themselves. Like I said the other day, love him or hate him, Alex Jones, watch him talk to Piers Morgan on CNN. It's one of the funniest, greatest things I've ever seen. It's straight entertainment. If the TV was like that all the time, no one would want to watch reality shows, because Alex Jones talking to Piers Morgan or yelling at him is 1,000 times funnier than any comedy thing I've seen on SNL. It's like hilarious. It's informative. It's super, super funny. At times it's a little weird and maybe a little mean, but at other times it's super like, oh yeah, that's totally true. What he's saying is a straight fact. It's great. And that's why they don't want people like that or Kanye or, your very out crazy people. They don't want them on TV because if people get used to that type of entertainment, they're never going to want to go back to the programming and brainwashing and false, matrix that they have people, they have people caught in. And I always say, to me, I like a lot of different people, but I classify certain people. There's certain people who are really good at politics and policies. I'll give you an example. I like and appreciate Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with him on everything. Certain things he does to me are suspect, but I really appreciate the value that Ben Shapiro brings to the world. I think he's very conservative, but there's a difference. Like Ben Shapiro, he's good at law, he's good at politics and policy sometimes he's anti-Trump, but that's his lane. You know what I'm saying? He's kind of in that dimension. He's all politics, he's all policy, he's all that. And he does a really great job, and I'm very, very appreciative and grateful that we have someone like Ben Shapiro because he blows a lot of other people out of the water, even if I don't agree with him all the time. But like Kanye West and Alex Jones, they're matrix breakers. They're on a totally different plane than Ben Shapiro is. And I like them both, but it's like Ben Shapiro might have all these facts and statistics. Alex Jones and Kanye are not even trying to do that. They're trying to break the matrix. They're smashing a whole different angle of the conversation, and I like that. Personally, I like them both, but I prefer the Kanye West and the Alex Jones to the Ben Shapiro. That's just a personal preference. That's why when Ben, Ben basically, he called Alex stupid or something. I mean, they always go back and forth, but, he wouldn't debate Alex. He said, I don't need to debate Alex. I was like, Ben is really smart, very good at debating. You kind of do have to debate Alex. Like, you don't have to, but if you dodge the debate and say, I'm way better than Alex, to me, as a supporter of both, I don't think that's true at all. I think that's kind of a weak move, and it's kind of I'm too good for that. But it's like, I don't know. I personally, let me know your thoughts. I know, Alex fans and Ben fans are both super passionate, so you don't want to say the wrong thing to either one. They'll get mad. But I personally, if Ben and Alex debated, I'd put my money on Alex, although because you're talking about a matrix breaker, a Kanye and an Alex versus a statistical, very analytical type person, two totally different mindsets. And that's why I like Joe Rogan as well. Although, he does speak a lot of common sense, and Joe is way more calm and way more together than Alex or Kanye. That's why Joe's even bigger. Well, maybe not bigger than Kanye, but Joe's huge because he could talk to people. He's very calm. He's very chill, similar to me. But Joe's also a matrix breaker. Joe and Alex, when I was younger, they helped me view the world in a totally different way. I credit Joe and Alex with that. And Jedi Mind Trick, some rappers, but we need our matrix breakers and we need our Ben Shapiros. We need, a lot of conservatives, they're in that Ben realm, and I like them as well. I'm not hating, but it's there's a lot of conservatives who just say certain conservative talking points, and sometimes they say something unique, and sometimes they don't. And we need people like that. We need all sorts of people. We need people who can push policy and politics and ideas, and then we need our matrix breakers. The matrix breakers, like Joe and Kanye together, is I'm super, super excited. And I really do like Joe's podcast. I think that it's such a net positive on the world because it's reframing the conversation. And liberals listen to Joe Rogan and they get it. They normally don't understand. They're not going to listen to Alex Jones. A lot of liberals sometimes they won't, maybe they'll listen to Ben Shapiro because Ben is very well spoken too. But when Jordan Peterson or Joe Rogan say something, a lot of liberals listen. And I know I don't agree with them on everything, but it's it really is a net positive because it's they're oh, I never thought of it like that. And it's put in such a way, put on a platter for you that people are okay. And it's it's really calming down the SJW and the identity politics on the left. Because I know. That's why I get upset sometimes in my last segment, and I'm not really that upset, but I get strong about it because I know that no one likes that. I know that progressives and liberals don't like political correctness and identity politics and the total destruction of comedy. I know that. I have a lot of liberal friends, and almost none of them like that. None of them like political correctness. None of them like the bashing of comedy, and everyone knows it, But my problem is not everyone really says it, like, or does anything about it. I call out the identity politics on the right all the time, probably one of the most that I reach and call it out, because I don't like it from anywhere, and I don't want to let it build anywhere, where it's like I just don't see enough people doing that on the left. I feel like they've kind of sold into that kind of vibe, and it's not a good vibe for even people included, so that's why I go strong in it. But overall, thank you guys for joining. That's my take on the Joe Rogan Kanye West soon-to-be podcast. I think it's going to be legendary, and I'm grateful and appreciative too, just at the end, for everybody. Like I explained, I had a little breakdown of what I think of different people this year, among others. I mean, I was pretty much like this last year too, but like I'm cutting out drama, I'm cutting out negativity. I'm not going to get overly upset at certain people, for certain things. Like, it's like I'm really trying to vibe out and bring the best out of everyone this year. So hopefully that trajectory works. Thank you guys for being here. Really good briefing now by Trump. I'm reading what you're saying. Later, Josh, I appreciate you. If you'd like to support, someone said Joe's a shill. We didn't go to the moon, then we did. I mean, you could say, I'll end on this too. You could say that Joe's a shill, but like, here's the thing. Joe has had Neil deGrasse Tyson on his podcast, and Joe, it's an older one, not the newer one. Joe asked Neil deGrasse Tyson tough questions about the moon, like multiple different questions, and Neil's answers were not that impressive. So you could say that recently Joe's a shill and he's not saying what he used to, but he already did that. You know what I'm saying? You can't take away the home runs that Babe Ruth had in the 60s, because they're already tallied up. It's already part of history. So like, even in what you would call Joe shilling, which I would say is just maybe how he feels, he's already done the work. If you search, all of that's out there because Joe Rogan did it 6 years ago. You can't take away his home runs just because he maybe changed opinions, or like, you got to see it as a net positive. And Joe has had Eddie Bravo on his network. He's had Alex Jones. It's not like Joe hides in a corner and won't say it. I've listened to a whole podcast of Joe and agreed with everything he said. I've listened to a whole podcast of Joe and I've disagreed with almost everything he said in that specific podcast, but I don't call him a shill because maybe he just feels that way. Like, some people, maybe they are really shills, but just because someone disagrees with you, maybe they're just wrong. Maybe they're just right. Maybe they just don't see eye to eye with you. Like, everybody's not an agent or a shill. I'm sure some people are, but that really does bother me, that like, the one time someone disagrees with you, whether it's about the moon or about war or about this, that they're automatically a shill. Like Joe, I think he gets knocked down too much. Maybe not. I think he's really popular. But even if you say he's shilling on that stuff, he's already done it. You know what I'm saying? And all that footage is out there. And it's some of the best footage of questioning scientists about space. I mean, that's one of my favorite ones, is him with Neil deGrasse a few years ago. It's an hour long, and Joe is just bang, 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 bang. Neil's trying to get off the hook, and Joe doesn't let him off the hook. So if he talks to Neil 5 years later and lets him off the hook the entire time, who cares? They're two different conversations. That's a different vibe. That's already there. You can't take that away from Joe, And same thing with me. That's why I say that, and others. It's like, I agree with a lot of people on a lot of things, but the one time I disagree with someone, I'm not trying to get called an Israeli shill. Like, if I agree with Israel on something, and then I disagree with Israel on something, I'm not trying to get called a Zionist shill, because I'm not. I don't work for Mossad, and I'm not anti-Semitic, so it's like, I point it out in others, because I know everything comes back around, not only to you, that karma and that energy comes back to you, but one day you're going to say something that people disagree with, and everyone's going to call you a shill. And if there's certain movements that don't analyze anything and don't figure out if it's true or not, now you might have millions of people who are saying you're a shill for a country or an agency that you have no part of, that you've never met. And that's how, quick people are to turn and jump on people. And I stick up for others because I see how quickly people have done it to me, not on a huge scale, but who's to say I don't say something that's very, very unpopular in a certain community where I think it's true, and now all of a sudden I have the top news analysts on the planet, whether it be the QAnon movement or someone else, saying, oh my God, he's a shill for this, that. And it's like, they have no idea if it's true. It's not even remotely true, but they have no problem saying that. And it goes even with people I like. There's news analysts that I love. There's news analysts that I don't love as much. But too many people are too quick to do that. I think leave the judgment and the unless you're totally sure and you have a valid logical reasoning for it. I just don't see how somebody even of that stature, how or why they would be a shill now, even though they've spent their whole lives inspiring people like me, breaking the matrix, telling people about, hallucinogenics and other things, and telling people about dieting and fasting, and telling people how bad the mainstream media is, and telling people how bad identity politics is, and being the biggest news source on the planet that tells you that. But then one day they don't say that, and then all of a sudden they're a shill and they're totally working for the opposition. I just don't see how that's effective. People call Joe and Alex shills. With no Joe and Alex, there may have been no anomaly in my full form right now. I'm not saying I'm exactly like them, but they've inspired me along the way. So if you want to kick the legs out between them two, I take it a little personally because I might not have been here. If you like me more than you like Joe and Alex, like a lot of people do, doesn't mean that they're shills and I'm not a shill. Like maybe we're just different. Like Alex is Alex, Joe is Joe, I'm me. And maybe some of them are working for someone else. I'm not ruling that out, saying that it's not a possibility, but at least consider that they're not before you go starting mass rumors like everyone is that they are, just because you don't agree with them on one or two or three things. Someone's talking about the dark side of the moon. I mean, I didn't even weigh in on that because it's like I saw the pictures too. I don't know how. I don't know. I'm gonna need more proof. Show me the Carfax. So I got to look at more research into that, and maybe I'll talk about it. But until I go to the moon, maybe I'll do a live stream on the moon, and I'll let you know what it looks like. Thank you guys for joining. Have a good day. Have a good week. I'll be back soon.